Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bucs UK TV 102. This is the Scotland special. I'm joined here by fellow club meetup alumnus, David. Good evening.
Hi there.
And for those who haven't got a clue what we're talking about, this week was the first of our three planned club watch-along socials, and we were in Edinburgh, weren't we, David?
Yeah, it was quite an evening. Plenty to drink, plenty of fun, and we seem to be on a streak now. I came much events watching Buccaneers win. So yeah, good time was had by all.
I think
A
it's
few
always
sore
better.
heads, but you and I have made it through to the other side, so that's good.
So we'll try not to bore you too much with our drunken escapades. Apparently, there was a Buccaneers game going on. Apparently, it went quite well, and we're going to try and talk about whatever it was we can actually recollect from that game. Win's a win, obviously, and that was something delightful to see. If you look on Twitter, you'll see exactly what we mean and how much we were celebrating. Let's kind of start with the offense, because I think. Both phases of the ball played really well, but for me at least, I think it felt like offense was the standout unit of the night.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was complimentary football. I mean,
Mm.
defense came and turned the ball over, particularly when it mattered. But offense looked really good again. It looked, balanced. We pushed forward with the run game a bit more, and it was a real struggle last week. We didn't do fantastic yardage of it, but actually, instead of where sort of the last year or 2 years we were getting 1-2 yards on them first downs, we were probably making the 3 or 4s, and that made all the difference. It opened up the playbook.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I opened up the playbook. I think 353 yards what the Bucks managed, which I guess in certain days of Brady, that was probably an average day at the shops. But for the Bucks playing against the Saints in the Baker Mayfield era, I think that was quite productive. But in terms of your pass versus run, how did you feel about things like play selection and the various sort of success of those phases?
Yeah, I think it was really nicely balanced, actually. This Saints team hasn't let a team score more than 20 points against them for the last 13 games. We were coming up against a reasonable opposition there. And I think, we really took it to them in all phases. And I think it, really balanced. I think it was good. White getting some runs, and actually Kieron Vaughan coming in, I think was quite good to see. He's been obviously waiting in the wings for a few weeks, and they let leash go on him this week, ready for the Saints, and he's got big history against the Saints. So
That's true. I mean,
I
he had
think that was good to see.
9 carries for 16 yards. Probably isn't going to set the world on fire, but I think we were talking about this in Edinburgh, weren't we? We were saying we're just kind of running to keep everyone honest, aren't we? It feels like.
Yeah, I mean Baker Mayfield's mobility was made such a difference. You could see. We spoke about Brady being in the pocket and being, difficult to run against. It was clear we were doing the way that he actually stretched plays out. He took them wide, made third downs. The play he did for that first touchdown with Cade Otton, he avoided a tackle, got free, just dumped it off to him in the centre. It was just great to see the way that we managed to convert tough plays.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Baker, and I feel like the team's warming to him, the fans are warming to him. Clearly, the coaches, the offensive coordinators clearly got confidence in calling the plays, because there was some. I mean, I think the interception was kind of it was taking a shot in the end zone, and we saw that in the Brady era as well, didn't we?
Yeah, but I think Baker put his hand up and said he underthrew it.
Hmm.
But I think he's already gained enough value with the team that they let him off one and they accepted it and moved on. And we know that the defense is there to recover.
Yeah, so I think yeah, Baker was definitely the best QB on the field on a day when looking at the stats. 5 QBs posted ratings. Obviously, Baker Mayfield 116.9. Carr only posted a rating of 68.2. Taysom Hill, we all love to hate him, had 118.8 to top out. Chris Godwin managed to throw an incompletion and got a rating of 39.6. And of course, everyone's favorite W eater, Jameis Winston, had the perfect QB rating of 0. 1 attempt for an interception, which had a slight sense of deja vu about it, I dare say.
That was just sort of the icing on the cake, really. You know, I think they threw that in there just to make the game a final. I mean,
I
he
guess
threw it with nothing to lose, didn't he? And the receiver immediately fell to the floor and opened it up for us. I
yeah,
mean, he's got nothing
it's
going for him.
one of those things. I think a bit worried about Mike Evans, obviously, and that was probably the low point on offense. I think in terms of just making sure that he's healthy and good to go. Kind of, you can see this is my Godwin top in honor of him. I mean, 8 receptions, 114 yards. Unlucky not to get a score on a day like that, but he did have a 42-yarder at one point. It does feel like Baker's got a bit more of a rapport with Godwin than Evans, I would wager at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Evans is sort of like the guy out wide, and Godwin is very much that slant through the middle, isn't it? And I think that's what Baker's looking for more. I think he is. You can see actually Baker checking down really well and looking throughs open. We all know that normally Mike Evans is going to be double covered, but the fact that Chris Godwin took that load up once Evans was out the game, I think was really impressive to see. He was definitely making space.
So other than Godwin, what do you think of the other receivers? Then obviously it was nice that when Evans was out, Godwin stepped into that number one sort of wide receiver one. The other ones, do you think they stepped up as well?
Yeah, I mean Trey Palmer is, looking someone you can target. That touchdown reception he took, really climbing to get that ball in.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And Devin as well, actually getting out there. He looks a really pacey guy, doesn't he, as well? So, yeah, I mean, I think when we needed them, they stepped up. I think we've got a very clear set of receivers now.
I'd actually add Rashad White to that set of receivers. I think actually, dare I say it, White seems like he's better out of the backfield than carrying the ball in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both. Paul took some receptions as well, didn't they? I think they're really trying to mix the plays up, and I think that is it. We are no longer a vanilla offense. We are actually got a lot of different opportunities out there, different plays, and I think that's probably having Baker. I think he's got that experience to be able to read the game well and to do that.
Really good. So let's move to the other side of the ball, and we stick with that sort of running back, sort of Rashad White. We said how good he was. Alvin Kamara puts him to shame, dare I say it, normally. Certainly, I mean, he had 14 targets, 13 receptions, but for only 33 yards. And, with a 51 yards on the ground, 11 carries, that's still 4.6, not bad. But, held to sub 100 yards when you could see how much they were trying to work Kamara into the game. I think, the D, they only, how do you say, they held them to 9 points.
Yeah, I mean, outstanding. And I think what I like, and I've seen through every game this season, is that we start off a little bit loose. And again, Kamara made a lot of his runs very early on. But then once we understand how they're going to play, we tighten it up and close teams out. And I think that's what's really impressive for me, is the ability for us to sort of pick up on the opponent's scheme and to close it out during a game.
I think it's a really good point. The adjustments, obviously, it's still Todd Bowles. It's still his defense. He's still there calling it. But you're right. It does seem to be a little bit more reactive, a little bit more perceptive, which I think, you say is making the difference. I think, like I say, at the end of the first quarter when we were 3-0 down, you'd have probably thought, we've probably done quite lucky to stay only 3-0 down. Let's see how long we can stay in it. But actually, I think the fact that we managed to keep going, I think really did play really good dividends. Again, I think we were really worried about Michael Thomas. We were really worried about Chris Olave. But actually, Olave was held to only 1 catch, and Thomas was held to only 4 catches. So actually, I think they just did a really good job of shutting down what everyone expects to be a fairly high octane offense. What did you think about the pressure that we managed to get on Carr?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get a lot of sacks. I think, was it 1 sack and 1 actually tackle for a loss? It wasn't
Yeah, 1
great.
sack. Well, quite a few, 4 tackles for a loss. Yeah, and 3 QB hurries, and obviously the
Yeah,
1 interception. So
but
not a bad day at the office, but it wasn't sort of like prolific pressure.
no, but I mean, Carl, he can't run, and he clearly had a bad shoulder, didn't he? So
Yeah, he should not have been
I think,
playing.
you know, we just played what we needed to do. We contained him and then covered the people in sort of mid to deep field. And at the end of the day, he had nowhere to go. He just looked totally frustrated out there, didn't he?
Yeah, the nowhere to go point I think is good. I think the coverage was good.
Yeah,
Again, not necessarily masses and masses of pass, only 3 pass defended, but yeah, it just felt like the coverage was tight. And in days gone by, there'd be Saints running crossing patterns across the middle of the field. We'd all be moaning, going, "Oh my goodness, how did they not know it was going to Michael Thomas?" Or "Why is that guy so open in the middle?" But actually, it did feel like it had tightened up.
yeah. I mean, we went into the game worried about our secondary. The now players that we've lost and got injured this year, but they all turned up and they all delivered. So fantastic.
And then special teams. Again, for those people that were unfortunately listening to my drunken shouting in Edinburgh, I've had enough of our coverage game. As we can talk about the kickers and the actual, the talent on the game, but it just feels like we're just not getting downfield, and the first person needs to be breaking down, trying to make the tackle, or at least holding them up so the second person downfield. But we're having a flag against us for being out of bounds and not coming back in. Literally a rookie mistake. And just, I don't think it's Kamada out kicking the coverage. I think he's getting good hang time. And the fact that, so Kamada's average was 47.5. That Headley for the Saints was 40.5, but their net was 38.8, and our net's 36.3. So we're booming it all the way down the field, almost 10 yards further for effectively no benefit. It's just infuriating to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing to see. The good thing is that it's been a momentum changer, but not significantly.
Yes.
So, the big thing always about special teams is just don't make big mistakes. We've sort of got away with it a little bit on the coverage. Once or twice so we've had breaks against us, but generally we've just about done enough. But we're nowhere near making the use of Kamada's legs at the minute.
No, but I'm actually McCaughlin's leg seems to be quite impressive. So he hit a 51-yarder, and I think it was the other one. The other one was 28 yards. I think to any time you can knock it in from over 50 yards, there were a couple of times where you thought, "Oh, we're going to go for this? Is that in range?" And it turns out it was. So I was impressed with him. I think he has possibly been one of the more surprising players this year. I certainly didn't know a lot much about him. I thought the off season, the preseason it wasn't really clear who was winning the game and what direction we were going to go in. But I think I've been pleasantly surprised on it so far.
Yeah, I mean, we knew last season anything over sort of 45, 50 yards with suck up, it was always in question whether he'd get there. This guy's definitely got the legs, and at the minute, he hasn't given us any cause for worry that he's going to put it wide. We're only week 4, but yeah, no one's hiding behind the sofa at the minute when we get a kick. So looking good at the moment.
Yeah, and then the other thing I touched on, I guess the last point to make is probably around penalties. So yeah, that annoying one, we're running out of bounds. So I mean, the Saints had a fairly bad day at the office for 7 penalties, but the Bucs had 11 for almost 100 yards. And I just feel like that was on another day with another team. That's the equivalent of a touchdown, probably, isn't it? You're giving them the whole length of the field.
Yeah, keeping the game clean is really important, and we've done that first 3 games, which is so it's disappointing to see that. But again, I think that's again where you get a few changes and bring in other players. I mean, there were players coming out on the field that had hardly ever had a touch in the NFL at the time. We were saying, "Who the hell is that?"
Yeah,
Came out
yeah,
of
it's
nowhere.
true.
So
It's true.
yeah, you've got people that haven't got regular reps. So you give them a bit of leeway on that. Bottom line is we walked away with a very convincing win. So it's not something to beat ourselves up about this week, but we need to stop it happening again.
Yeah, so a win's a win, 3-1, top of the division. I mean, we'd have taken that, wouldn't we, at the beginning?
Oh Christ, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is fantastic, really positive going into bye week. It's almost a, do we really want a bye week now? Well, we've got momentum. It's good that we give Mike Evans a chance and a few others to recover from injury. So that's good. But momentum's with us at the minute. I'd be keen to keep playing.
It's true, and you never. I don't think we said this in the pre-season, didn't we? Yeah, the early bye week. It's unless you've got some injuries you need to. It's going to make the back end of the season feel like a little bit more of a slog, probably. I know there's talk about possibly having 2 bye weeks at some point to try and extend the season without getting any more regular season games. That's an interesting one to maybe think about. So obviously we're not because we've got the bye week. We're not going to be doing the preview game, but we can preview the next game in one sense, in that it's going to be throwback for the Bucs, but also throwback for Bucs UK.
That's right. Yeah. So big game. We've got it planned for our London event, but that's a little bit in question now as they've gone and flexed the kickoff time. So it's sort of 4:30 Eastern time now, which is 9:30 in the evening for us on a Sunday. So
check
that's
the
difficult
forum
one,
for what's happening, but get your tickets as well.
exactly, yeah. But one way or other, we're all going to be behind the game in our whimsical jerseys and t-shirts and everything else, and I think it's going to be a great night. So.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. We'll keep it short and sweet then. Enjoy the bye week, everybody. We'll be back next week with our preview. Until then, go Bucs!
Go Bucs!